Yeah, we definitely had a very good bye week. Ability to be able to assess the first 5 games. Some of the positives. Been very pleased with third down. Very pleased with how we've been able to handle the run game. And I just thought that each game, when we watch the film, we've gotten better each week with execution, understanding what we're seeing on defense. Areas that we got to improve on is turnovers. Definitely disappointed at where we're at right now with our turnovers. Last year, after 5 games, we were at 13 turnovers, and a lot of factors play into that. We got some young men that were seniors that gave us a lot of production. We got some young guys in those roles right now. Each game they're getting better. And so that area right now we addressed in the bye week. We did a lot of takeaway circuits. The both days we practiced, we did some circuits to really reinforce the importance of understanding where the ball's at and how we can punch it and which way we should punch it. So we went back to basics there, talked about the opportunity with the ball being on the ground, how we can scoop and score or have the awareness just to fall on it when we know if we're in traffic or we're not in traffic. And so we addressed those areas. We also talked about red zone production. A couple of times on third down, we had opportunities in the first 5 games to get off the field. And young men at that time in that position did not utilize the football IQ that was needed. So we went to the meeting room and addressed those clips and tried to educate our young men on the importance of knowing where you're at, understand the situation, splits, alignments. And so I feel very good that we've addressed those issues. Now we just have to execute it on game day. When you look at Kennesaw State, once again, a lot of long, good hours, just trying to make sure we put together a good plan. That they have an explosive run game, averaging over 5.5 yards per carry, over 280 yards per game. It all evolves around the quarterback, Chandler Burks, who I've been real impressed with. He executes the offense very well. And then they got the fullback, McKenzie. He runs hard. He does a great job in blocking. He understands how to block in space, and he knows who he needs to look for. Is it the perimeter guy, or is it the Mike linebacker, or is it the defensive end? And he does it at a high level. He's able to adjust. So we know we got our hands full with this team. I'm definitely excited about the opportunity. It's going to be about executing. Eye discipline, trusting what we see, not trying to do somebody else's job. And if we do that, we'll have a very good opportunity to be successful against a very good offense. At this time, I'll take any questions.
You've seen them a few times now in this option attack and how they do it down there. Do you feel more confident heading into this matchup this year?
Well, the way that they're executing, I feel confident that most of our young men have played this team 2 years in a row. But they're doing a couple of new things that we haven't seen in the last 2 years. And so once again, on top of how they execute what they did last year, it's all going to be about eye discipline. Because they got a couple of new blocking schemes and what they do that can get you out leveraged. And, you got to try to get your young men to trust what they see and not try to jump out of a gap or jump down into a gap that's really meant for the linebackers or for the safety. And then before you know it, we get outflanked. And so that's going to be the challenge, is getting our young men to trust that, I need to stay right here and let the linebacker scrape, or I need to bounce outside and let the safety fit. And so that's going to always be the challenge. And it's going to boil down to them watching film. We got to do a great job in practice of simulating some of these blocking schemes that we know that we're going to see on Saturday.
In the past 2 years, Kennesaw State has tried to go to the air a little bit more often against your defense compared to others. What have you guys seen in watching film about the run-pass option Burks might have, plus also being wary of play action, not biting in certain situations to avoid allowing those explosive plays?
Well, it all boils down to numbers. And so, our mindset is we're going to stop the run. And anytime you put maybe an extra hat near the box, that's going to allow an option team to have more of an opportunity to do the play action pass as you spoke of and try to go deep. And, that's just my mindset is I'm going to make sure we stop the run. We got to be disciplined and be able to play the ball in the air and play in space in the back end. And so I think you're right. Over the last 2 years, we've probably seen more passes than most defenses see. But when you watch the film, we're going to make sure we have that extra guy near the box. And so, I've been pretty pleased. Watched the film our season last year, watched it 2015 season, watched a lot of film, watched all of their film in 2016 and a little bit of 2015 just to, make sure we cover all our bases. And, passing game-wise, they do a nice job if you do have that extra man in the box. We're just going to have to be real good with our eyes.
Coach, even though Liberty didn't win last time out, your defense played really, really well. Do you feel like, did you welcome the bye week, or did you want to keep playing coming off a strong defensive performance?
I was asked about after that game, definitely heartbroken defensively. I thought we played well for 60 minutes, but unfortunately, in a great defensive match, it's all about who gives up the big plays. And so for as well as most people say we played, you watch the film and you see maybe I call 2 critical mistakes that were made. I always have a struggle when I don't see what we've asked them to do. And, either you're coaching it or you're allowing it. And so my thought process was, I get 24 hours from my wife to sulk, shed tears, and really, think about, how we can get that corrected. But to me, if you don't win a game, it's hard for me to really feel good. I may see some good things, but I'm going to focus more on the areas where we could have maybe prevented a big play that especially leads to a touchdown. And so, those areas we definitely addressed technique-wise. But, overall, I know we're headed in the right direction, and that's part of what I feel good about overall.
I guess with you talking about eye discipline and potential for big passing plays from them, how confident do you feel in your secondary going up against their receivers here this week, and what do they have to do to keep the ball in front, so to speak?
Well, I really think we just got to keep executing our technique. I've been pleased, like I said, from Game 1 to Game 5, watching the film, I've seen a lot of secondary young men get better. From Jimmy Faulks, Jeremy Peters, Chris Turner really had a good game last week. Seemed like he got back in his groove. Corbin is playing better overall. Ryan Davis has probably been the most surprising for me to see how consistent he's been from Game 1 to Game 5. Brandon Tillman is still making strides. So, my encouragement to them over the bye week is we better make sure we're watching film. We better make sure we know the tendencies of these receivers, because a lot of times the explosive plays come on what we call gadgets, hitch and go, slant and go, so where the eye discipline is not there to stay that extra second on that receiver, because you just assume because he's throttling down is going to be a block, and before you know it, he runs right by you. And so that's going to be the challenge for our young men. But I feel very confident that they are starting to take that growth spurt, so to say, to where they're trusting what they're seeing.
So Ryan Davis has been the most surprising player for you through 5 weeks. What have you seen out of him to, give him that label?
Well, I would say just the preparation. He's really dedicated himself, even in the offseason, to watching film. He came to me at the end of the season and said, "Coach, I want to take that next step to be a leader." And I gave him a list of things early in this year that he had to do, and he's been doing that. He prepares himself probably the best out of my room when it comes to knowing alignments, assignments, techniques for all 3 positions. And he lives in the film room, and I've been real impressed with how each week he's become more and more vocal, trusting his abilities. And I'm just excited to see he's just a sophomore. And so I really think that if he continues to take these steps of getting better, we're going to be very excited about him in the near future.
What makes Chandler Burks dangerous?
He understands the offense. He doesn't make mistakes. Last year when he got the starting role, we kind of questioned that, they had a very experienced quarterback prior. And after our game, we kind of said, wow, he's really good. And then you watch the film this year, you see the separation between him and Daniels. He executes, he's physical, he stays in there with his reads. He does a great job of when the outside defender turns his hips, he knows how to run right at him and then pitch that ball. And he will take a lick and get back up. So you can respect him and how he plays. And that's what we got to get across to our defense is that, guys, you got to do your job because this young man, he'll bait you. He'll take the lick to let the DN come, he'll lay on the ground and say, hey, I got you, don't have the football. And they're going to run for a big play. And so I've been real impressed with him. And, that's great coaching. And that's why they are a very potent offense.